You know, there's pounded yam and there's pounded
But
yam.
Pounded yam not heavy.
Inyan.
Is it not heavy?
Oluwa shamila da ayo. Inyan.
Is it, once you eat it, it's supposed to make you sleep.
Akogo ashogun balogun. Amen. Inyan. Don't whine me. I'm a proper Kogi boy, bro. Like, just give me.
So pounded yam and egusi soup and the beat comes. So inspiration just comes.
Honestly, if there is one thing that inspires my music making skills, it's just the experience of my life. Like I know what it feels like to be here, and I know what it feels like to be here. Do you understand? You get. When my father was alive, went to Caleb. He was the chief economist officer of one of the biggest banks in Nigeria right before he died. You know, so life was good. And I know what that feels like.
Okay.
And then I know what it feels like to be at the bottom of the barrel, nowhere to go. And really, that life experience between those two vicissitudes is where I draw my inspiration from. Hi guys, my name is David Kenny, audio producer, music producer, audio engineer, house boy, my mommy's son, Sarah's husband. You know what I'm saying? That's it now.
Out of curiosity, I want to know why music production.
Why I'm doing it?
Yes.
That's my purpose. That's what God put me here to do. And I was very, very fortunate to have my wonderful mom and my dad of blessed memory. Growing up, they told me how very enthusiastic I was about music, about sound and about design, about all things music. How I would wake up as a toddler and try to listen to a particular radio show every single day, and I would do that by myself for a couple of months. So from time they already knew that this boy had an ear for music. So my mom already knew that okay, this boy has something. I learned to play music by ear and by feeling because of how progressive life gets. If you start doing something from one level, you always have to look for the next level to take it to, and the next level for me was just going to producing records. So not just play it live on stage and work with other musicians, but to have a studio like this, and then produce my own sounds from scratch.
Okay, so how did it start?
So I was in this church in 2012. I'll not say the name of the church, but our keyboardist at the time, his name is Matt Keys. Amazing producer, amazing mixing and mastering engineer. At the time, he was Eben's producer. Eben, the gospel musician. Yeah. He was Eben's producer and mixing and mastering engineer. And because he too saw how I had an ear for like sound, and back then I was so passionate about music that I wasn't just playing drums, I was listening for all the other instruments and parts. So even while we're rehearsing, I would stop rehearsals because I didn't hear something that someone was supposed to do. You get, so I looked at music in the grand scheme of things as a whole. I wasn't just playing my own little parts. I was trying to make sure that all the parts made for a very cohesive sound. And he saw that, called me and told me that he thinks I would make a good music producer if I were to learn how to use the tools, the DAWs, the software and all of that. And then he gave me the software. He gave me my first software on my crappy laptop. That laptop was like 2 gig RAM. I'm telling you, one useless laptop like that.
It actually did its work. It was useless.
It did its work in terms of getting me through. If I did its work, it mean it got me through 2 months. Because it broke down. I fried the hard drive.
Oh, wow.
Do you understand? It was too small to take on what I was doing. Because Matt gave me like a small crash course that day when he installed the software on my system. And then I went back home, and in 3 weeks I came back with like 15 beats.
Wow.
You understand? And that's how I really knew that, okay, you have something locked inside you, and now you've just been given the tools to be able to express what is inside you.
You came up with 15 beats. Like, was it that easy?
For me, it was. Because see, when you're gifted to do something, you tend to operate. My pastor, Pastor Sam Adeyemi, says that when you are working in your purpose, when you're working in what God has gifted you to do, you operate like a computer. And so when other people look at you, it's like, dude, how are you able to come up with, like, I have a very good friend that I work with, an artist. His name is Mikel Mizi. His EP just dropped. So this is my own shameless way of plugging my friend's EP on your show. And I produced most of the tracks on the EP. No, Allah, he will pay me. No, and when he pays me, he will pay me now. He will pay me that, and I'll give you, the prophet's offering.
When I'm editing now, just
prophet's offering. We'll give you 10%.
10%?
Yes.
No.
Church, your ministry will move ahead.
This is not a church. Hello.
Amen. So, Mikel is one of the most talented people that I know. And then I look at him and he's in the studio here trying to work. Okay. I make a beat. I finish making the beat in 40 minutes. And he looks at me and he's like, yo, how did you make that beat so fast? And as I'm talking, and as he's talking, I found out that he has written the song as I was making the beats. And then I look at him, I'm like, how did you write that so fast? Do you understand? So when you're working in your purpose and what God has given you the ability to do, you operate like a computer. So it was like that part of me was waiting for that means to express itself.
How can I get you out? Your fears are trying to bring you down. My arms are open to you. I'm taking the lead, you can follow.
One mind cannot create one man can create a record, but that's not really how it is these days. It's more of a collaborative effort. Yeah. Do you understand? So you have someone that wrote the lyrics, and then you have someone else that added melody to the lyrics. Then you have someone else that performs the lyrics.
Let me rephrase the question.
Yeah.
Who do you think should get the most credit for the job?
That depends on the kind of artist you're working with. No, because if you're signed, a huge chunk of the returns are going to go to your record label, because they're the ones that put up money for you to record, money for you to book the studio, money for the producers and all of that. So there's a way they share it, and that's why something called a split sheet exists. Okay. So a split sheet is a document that shows what each person deserves according to the amount of work they put into the creation of a record.
Your parent has always supported you being a music producer.
So when my father died, Nigerian parents and all, my father wanted me to be a petroleum engineer. And after I got
that's where the money is, bro.
After I got out of secondary school, I wrote some of all these exams. I made for a decent science student, especially when I came out of secondary school. I really tightened my belts and I read and I studied and all of that. But that was not my path. And my mom was okay with me finding my path. Do you understand? Yeah. To say. And how I knew it wasn't my path was that I would write every single exam. I would pass, but I would not enter. I would write JAMB. I would pass. I would write post-JAMB. I would pass.
Wait.
But my name would not come out of the list.
Wait, and you never thought that it was village people?
I didn't. If you mean by God being the village chief.
How God be?
Exactly, because I truly believe, now looking back in hindsight, I truly believe that was God's own way of redirecting my steps and helping me to be where He wanted me to be. God puts obstacles in our way sometimes to redirect us to where our purpose is. Do you understand? Most times the problem is it doesn't make sense, and it isn't popular. It isn't what you will explain to someone else and they will feel like you're doing something good with your life. In fact, on the contrary, they will feel village people are actually doing you. Like, why would you leave this
here in Nigeria
and then go and do this? There is, how many people in your family have succeeded in on this path? How many people do you know personally have gone this way and they've made a living out of it and all of that? But here I am today, God taking me from one level to another level, and I'm where I am today, and I have no regrets whatsoever.
I heard that you can create beats from anything, right? So now, tapping my feet like this, will you be able to create beats from it?
Yeah. So beats consists of two things: rhythms and melody.
So that's what it is. What
yeah, so yeah, this is rhythmic. I can take this, I can bring a mic here and sample it and put it here, record what you've done, and then it will be recorded as audio files. I can then manipulate those audio files. Do you understand? I can cut them, slice them, put them into my software, which we call digital audio workstations.
And then it becomes
called DAWs. Yeah, and then I can put it into a DAW and then chop up all those sounds and make something out of it.
So like music producing, like did you just go straight to it, or you had like side hustle?
Okay, so my major side, so I've done a couple of jobs in this country. Like I've sold stuff, I have
like what?
Marketed stuff, fashion, clothes.
Oh, okay.
So
I'm thinking.
So I had a friend. I had like a plug in Taiwan, and they would bring stuff into the country, and I would help them to market and sell to people. It was stuff that I did late teens, early 20s. Then I was a school teacher at some point, but for the most parts of it, the jobs that really paid me was being a drummer in church. Do you understand?
I thought it's the Lord's work. I supposed to be collecting money for the Lord's work.
Well, that's a professional job. Do you understand? That is a professional job. Even though it is the Lord's work, if you want to build an auditorium for your church, it's going to cost money. If you buy the equipment and the instruments, the building materials, right, you will still have to get professionals to help you to build. They will not come to you and say, because you're trying to do the Lord's work, I'm going to render out my skill for free. And I'm not saying that is bad. I'm saying that it's very important that you understand what work for hire and what labor is. If I have invested time into building myself and developing a skill set, that is I'm valuable to someone. And money is just a means of exchange for value, because that's the only thing that can oil my engine to keep me doing what I'm doing. I'm paying for trainings, I'm buying equipment. You don't even want to know how much the smallest equipment here is. As very scanty as the table is. Do you understand? And
how much does the smallest cost?
No, don't worry. That we will set that behind so that they will not come and meet you afterwards. They do not use you to get to me. You understand? I don't want to have
but
to
you know what you're saying, you're already giving people idea. It's pretty much very expensive.
It's not expensive. It's just the idea is this, like, if you bring value to the table, value should come back to you. That's just what it is. And all the churches I worked in at the time, they understood that, so they would pay me to come play drums in church every month. And that was like one of the major ways that I started to earn money as a teen and into my early 20s. And it really helped me because, as I said, things got really bad for my family financially, and I had to pull my weight as the first son. Do you understand? And help out my family, I have a younger brother and 2 younger sisters. You feel me? And I had to pull my weight. I had to be there for them. I had to try my best. The little that I could do, I had to do. Because, it wasn't easy for my mom and 4 children. You feel me? And God was very faithful. I was able to do that predominantly and then branch off to other things, marketing for people, selling this, being a teacher one time, and all of that. I worked in certain establishments, in certain capacities, just to any opportunity, any legal opportunity I saw to make money, I took it. Because the alternative was that I would go into fraud or something.
Oh, yeah.
Because when you're in that kind of desperate situation, you feel me? The temptation to go left is very high. Because Nigeria is not even an enabling environment. You understand? It's not the kind of place where, you can earn a decent wage from like just normal average jobs. Nigeria is not that kind of place. If you do not have that middle class job that pays you above a certain amount, you can't really say you're earning a living in Nigeria, because housing is expensive, transportation is expensive, feeding is expensive.
What was like the smallest job?
So my mom ran a restaurant for a while in the heart of Agege Market. My mom ran a restaurant for a while.
Sorry, let me cut you short there. Yeah. So like I've always had like this mindset that Agege is a really rough place. Is that true?
Yes. Whatever they told you is worse. It's worse. Trust me. Because I stayed in the heart of Agege Pen Cinema, Balogun Street. You understand? You hear the Balogun. They are not whining you. They are telling you what it is.
So before they finish the low,
Balo. Woman shiny.
This channel does not support violence.
So please, we don't. But you know, my when things got very rough for us after my father died, we had to do what we had to do to survive. And I grew up in a very Christian home where we found dignity in labor, no matter how small it was, no matter how small the returns were. We preferred to do that. We were trained to find dignity in doing jobs like that, as opposed to trying to cut corners to earn more. So my mom at some point had to, you know, own a restaurant in the market where people would come to buy food, and I would help out in the shop. Before it became a restaurant, she had like a retail wholesale type shop where she was selling cartons of noodles, cartons of provisions that people would normally buy, household provisions. And that's what she was doing before she switched to the restaurant. And it was from there that gradually things started to, you know, we started to just climb up the ladder step by step. God has been so good to me and my family that it is hard for us now to even just remember certain things that we went through. We have to think long and hard to remember that, oh wow, we actually did go through this, because it was tough. I was a teacher in some school. They owed me salary for like 2 months.
How much did they pay first?
How much were they paying in that school? They were paying me 25k.
And they still owed salary?
They still owed me salary for like 2 months.
No, but then I think the economy was quite good. So 75k would do...
Yeah, but when you have 3 siblings... So I remember that back then I would get my salary from church, get my salary from school, or any of the other little businesses I was doing. And look, I need to make this abundantly clear. When you're on a path, sometimes God allows you stay in certain places to use those tough situations to develop your character because of where He's taking you to. Most times when God really wants to refine you, He makes you go through fire. You get? So we went through a lot of those kind of situations, staying in places where we had to fetch water every day because we didn't have water running in our house, because that was the only kind of apartment we could afford at the time. Do you understand? To what now? There was one time, I think I was 18 or 19. I had to do marketing for, you know how back then you would just see marketing, something for some products, and then you go there and you think that they're going to pay you money, but they're like, yo, for every product that you sell that you get a commission. Do you understand?
How many percent commission?
15 or 20. So they give you one small commission so that you can go out and really go and hustle and stuff. So I remember when my brother first got into university in 2011, how he would need measly funds for small things, and we would not be able to send it to him, and I would have to wait till the end of the month to maybe get money from church or something, and then I'll gather what I can get and send to him. Do you understand? I understand how very hard it was, that there were opportunities for me to learn, grow, like go to school, like even with my audio skills, even with my musical skills. Like there were plenty opportunities, but I couldn't plug into those opportunities because they required funding. They required finance. I couldn't do all those things. Right now, I work on some popular podcasts in the country. I guess I'm trying to be modest, but at least two to three, you can say three of some of the biggest podcasts in Nigeria. I audio engineer them. I have my own podcast too that I run as well, that I just recently started recording. You're in my studio right now. I never used to have a space like this. I work with brands, as you know. I do professional radio ads and jingles for a lot of brands. Worked with MTN, Stanbic IBTC, Netflix.
You're a big boy.
A couple of people, but let me stop there so that people do not come and find me in my house. You don't know me.
We are going to come together.
In short, maybe people should just blow my face. Mom.
Blow? Yeah, you can the camera should blow your face.
So here's the thing, that you can even listen to a song and that the song can go popular is because a lot of money has gone into promoting and marketing that song to the point where you can hear it, I can hear it, and many other people can. And we can have that song sitting on a hard drive until someone comes and says, okay, here is $5,000. Let's spend 1K on radio. Yeah. Let's spend 1K on TikTok. Let's spend 1K on Instagram. Without that, your song won't get out. Do you understand?
Yeah.
But what it means is you might not get like 50% of all the returns as a music producer, but you're meant to actually get something. You're meant to get something. That's why a split sheet is so important. It's your intellectual property, and I'm speaking for the producers now. It's your intellectual property. If you work on the record, it's well within your right to demand for a split sheet. And within that split sheet, you're supposed to get a percentage for online royalties, mechanical online royalties, so that anytime people stream the song, someone is getting paid and you have a percentage of that payment. And then you have publishing. You get a percentage of publishing. And that's kind of like in layman's terms, that's kind of like your stake in the ownership of the song. Do you understand?
Yes, now I get
so if maybe a movie uses the song or something, you get a small percentage of whatever is given to the artist.
I shall not be a music producer.
Yeah? People of God, please subscribe, like, share. Please don't allow your phone charger spoil in the middle of the night. Please, I'm begging you. Subscribe. I beg.
I'm coming to be a music producer. Don't worry.
No, please. Okay, bye-bye.